So today we're going to discuss the topic of anxiety. Now, before we get started, let me tell you, I am not a licensed therapist and I am not a psychiatrist. If I was a psychiatrist, I would prescribe you pills that don't actually treat the root cause but simply mask your symptoms so you continue to be a lifetime customer of Big Pharma. I want to actually help you identify and treat the root cause of why you're experiencing anxiety. This is simply based on my own experience and what I have witnessed in other people. Three primary things that I believe are root causes of anxiety, and I'm going to show you how to overcome these. So number one, the first couple are the most common. We're going to start with number one. Number one, underlying root cause of anxiety is weakness and under-preparation. What do I mean by that? Weakness? How dare you say I'm weak? Weakness and under-preparation. So if you know that you are physically and mentally weak, and you move through life knowing that you're slacking in all these departments and all these areas that you know you need to be strengthening or investing yourself in, whether it's physically, mentally, in your skills, why the fuck wouldn't you be anxious? If you know that you're weak, why wouldn't you be anxious? This is a very common cause for many people. They choose to underprepare in life. Their bodies are neglected. They don't do things to strengthen their minds. They completely lack self-discipline and self-trust because every time they say they're going to do something, they don't follow through. So they tell their subconscious mind, I can't trust myself. I'm not strong enough to follow through on my word. I can't do things I don't feel like doing. And so as a byproduct, as a survival mechanism, they have to become anxious. So now your system, your subconscious mind knows that you're weak, so you have to become anxious as a compensation, as a survival mechanism. I've given this example before. Let's compare a rabbit versus a bear. How does a rabbit move around? Have you ever watched a rabbit move around? Very high alerts, very anxious creatures, because the rabbit knows that it's weak. The rabbit knows that there are bigger and badder and stronger things out there, and if it's not on constant alerts, it's going to get eaten. So it has to be anxious. Anxiety is a survival mechanism for a creature that is not physically strong or capable against others. Gazelles, rabbits, mice, small birds, you see these animals, how they move. Anxiety, anxious, it's a survival mechanism. Now let's compare that to the bear. How does a bear lumber around? Here's a sound. Do I need to go kill something over there? Oh, it's okay. Keeps on lumbering around, scratches up some bugs. Bear's not walking around anxious because the bear understands that it's strong. Nobody can fuck with that. So I want to ask you, in what ways do you know deep down you are slacking in your own self-development? Number one, just look at your physical body. Your physical body is a walking billboard and a manifestation of your habits and how you've been showing up for months and months and years. So if you look at your body, does it look like the body of somebody who takes care of himself? Just ask yourself, is that the body of somebody who's strong? Number one, because the strength of the body directly correlates to the strength of the mind. If you have a strong and capable body, your mind and your subconscious, it knows that. So naturally, anxiety goes down, confidence goes up. Because you feel stronger, you feel more capable, you feel like you could defend yourself, you're more likely to be able to if you needed to. And on top of that, you just look better. You look better, you feel better, you're more attractive. So you're not running around all stuck in your head, what's everybody thinking about me? You feel more secure in yourself. So anxiety disappears. You feel strong, you feel confident and attractive when you invest in your body. I say the body because you can focus on your mind all day. If you neglect this, it doesn't mean shit. Your physical body is the foundation. Focus on the body first, then the mind will follow. The mind draws energy from the body. So that's number one. This is one of the most common causes. The underlying root causes of anxiety for many people is weakness or underpreparation. You know that you're slacking. You know there's things you're not investing in. So you walk around anxious as a survival mechanism, as a compensation for the fact that deep down you know you're weak and you're slacking. I don't care if that pisses you off. I don't care if that triggers you. Go ahead, get mad, type your little fucking comments and blow me up. I don't care. That just lets me know, oh, exposed him. Truth stung him. Okay, so that's number one, weakness and under-preparation. Not necessarily that you're weak, but you know if you're being weak or if you're not. You're under-prepared for life because you choose pleasure over purpose constantly. Number two, very common, another very common cause for anxiety is going to be an abundance of unused energy. A buildup of energetic potential that is not being dissipated with action, therefore it's accumulating in the mind. This is what I notice. If I ever experience any form of anxiety or just kind of like feeling heady, you feel really heady, your mind's going a million miles a minute, it's because there's a lot of energy that needs to be used. That's it. Look at how the average person consumes each day. Wake up. Breakfast, the most important meal of the day. I haven't had breakfast in years. I eat one meal a day. Breakfast, so they load up on carbohydrates, sugar, so they get a big insulin spike, blood sugar spike. Whoa, energy goes up. They feel good. They got some dopamine. They get their caffeine. Whoa, it tells their body, energy time. We need energy. So you're consuming and consuming and consuming carbs, sugar. You're eating carbs like you're a fucking Olympic athlete. You have your caffeine, your sugary ass Starbucks, spikes your cortisol, spikes your norepinephrine, spikes your dopamine. Woo! You feel all good for a minute, right? It's pleasurable to eat junk food and have caffeine and stimulants. And then crashes. So the little high wears off, and then what's left? Cortisol, adrenaline, stress hormones just flooding your system, all this energy. And people make this normal. So they overconsume energy, but then they take in all this energy. And what do they do with it? What do they do? Watch the fucking news. They just sit on their ass all day. They don't dissipate the energy with physical action. So they take in all this energy, carbs, caffeine. They're consuming stuff through their eyes and their ears. They're stimulating their nervous system. They're taking in all this energy. It's just collecting and building up. And so what happens? Since the body's not expending the energy, it's like, think of your mind. Your mind, it's like it's got a little curly straw. The mind says, oh, energy. And just takes all the energy. And then it just becomes mind shit. It just becomes psychological nonsense. Energy. It's energetic potential. So your mind takes all the energy you're consuming that you're not doing shit with and just use it as fuel for pointless overthinking and mental nonsense. Ruminating about the past, worried about the future, just nonsense in your mind. If you've ever been in a deeply fasted state, or maybe been extremely sleep deprived, do you notice in those states, anxiety or overthinking just seems to disappear? It's not there. You're very zen. You're just kind of still. Why? You don't have the energy to overthink. Thinking requires energy. Do you know that? It requires energy to sit and think about shit. Your brain uses more energy than any other organ. Any other organ, your brain. So if you have an abundance of unused energy, your mind's going to be a fucking monkey house, especially if you're just consuming caffeine, consuming carbs, consuming food, snacking throughout the day, spiking your insulin up and down. You're going to be all over the place. This is an average person. You're not active enough to be consuming that much fucking energy. So this is why the cure to this is exercise. Physical movement, physical exertion, moving your body, whether you walk. I exercise throughout the fucking day. I have to, or I'll be anxious. I'll be one of these individuals stuck in their head. I was when I was a kid, when I was a teenager. That's why I understand this so well. I looked at how I lived. I was underprepared for life. I chose not to invest in my body. And I was constantly consuming energy, but not doing shit with it. Just sitting and thinking about shit or staring at a screen. So I was always in my fucking head. So getting into your body, I always say this, the surest way to get out of your head is to drop into your body. Get into your body. This is why cardio is amazing, but anything, strength training, weight training, resistance training, fucking martial arts, swimming, running, walking, I don't care what it is. Get into your body. The more you drop into your body, the more you notice you're just grounded. You're grounded when you're always in your body. Think of how our ancestors were moving every single day. They'd wake up with the sun, they'd go hunt, they'd go build, they'd go gather, and when the day was all said and done, they'd sit down with their family, have a meal, go to bed, do it all over again. All day long, they were active, just using their fucking bodies all day. They didn't have time to sit around and be anxious about shit, okay? I've said this before, show me somebody who's chronically anxious, and I will show you a master at avoiding discomforts. If you don't give yourself real life discomforts, your mind is going to give you the discomfort that you're trying to avoid. You cannot avoid it. So either you give it to yourself or you suffer the consequences of internal weakness. Too much energy you're consuming, not doing shit with, and you're underprepared. This goes in with number one, weakness and underpreparation. You don't use your body enough because you don't feel like it. It's easier just to sit on your butt and consume all day. So that weakness manifests as anxiety, too much energy. And on top of that, when you're not active, you know you're weak. Your body's not strong, therefore your mind can't be strong. Mind draws energy from the body. So these are the most common ones. The two most primary common causes of anxiety is weakness and underpreparation and an abundance of unused energy. So you can be a strong person, you can work out, you can, be active every day, but if you're over consuming, I notice myself, if I eat too many calories or I eat too many carbs, my mind just turns into a fucking monkey house. And I have to go get active and then I get back into my body again. So the movement puts me back into my body. If you take away one thing from this fucking video, this live stream, it's that action alleviates anxiety. Action. Action is the cure to weakness or underpreparation. It's also the cure to having an abundance of unused energy. It's action. Dissipate the excess energy with action, or let your mind just suck up all that energy like a straw and use it as fuel for pointless overthinking and psychological nonsense. Because you're just not doing shit. So all the energy just goes up in your head and you put yourself in this fucking bubble. All it's energy, you dumb fuck. Energy. Energetic potential. They call it anxiety. No, it's energy that you're not fucking using with action. So your mind's just using it to talk. So the two most common ones we just went over. Here's the third one. This one's a little less common, but this is for people who have really undergone some experiences in life. So this is another potential cause of anxiety. If these two don't seem to really help you, getting yourself strong, being prepared, taking amazing care of your body, being consistently active, the third one is negative beliefs and or unresolved trauma. So negative beliefs, if you believe negative things about yourself, let's say many of us grow up in childhoods and a lot of us are instilled, I certainly was, with negative beliefs about ourselves. I'm not good enough, I'm worthless, nobody likes me, I don't deserve to be happy, things of this nature. We hear this we start believing this from parents, from teachers, from society, and we carry these negative beliefs with us into adulthood, and they become an underlying potential cause. Since we believe this about ourselves, it creates this kind of disconnect from our true power, from our true energy. We believe that we're just flawed, we're a bad person, whether we were programmed by our parents, by schools, by religions, whatever. We believe that we're just inherently flawed, and we have to do all these things to compensate. Maybe if I do the next thing, then I'll be good enough. If I do this, maybe then I'll be good enough. So negative beliefs is a potential cause this unresolved internal subconscious belief or beliefs that you've been holding on to, I just want you to ask yourself, are there certain phrases that you've been repeating to yourself since you were very young? Any statements or words that have just kind of been like a record on repeats? Any kind of negative belief? And then kind of ask yourself, well, where did that come from? Why was that put there? Why do I believe that? Why do I always tell myself that? And you will probably trace back to when you were very young. Maybe it's even before your memory. The time between 0 to 7 years old, you were like a sponge. You don't really have much memory in between those times. You're just absorbing everything around you. Your parents, your environment, whatnot. So look at how you were raised, and do I have belief systems that I'm just not good enough? I'm a bad person, and work to understand that and see them when they come up. Recognize them. But understand, simply recognizing a negative belief doesn't make up for action. Action alleviates anxiety. If you do love yourself, if you are good enough, you would show yourself with your actions. It's not just telling yourself some shit, it's showing yourself. So backing up positive self-talk and beliefs with actions. But another form of this childhood trauma, unresolved trauma. So we look at extreme cases, situations where, let's say, veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder, okay? That's an example. That's a potential underlying root cause of anxiety, where essentially at some point in your life, you went through something, you experienced something so traumatic that in that moment, you simply could not process it because it was too intense. It was too real. So what your body did was take that experience, take that emotion, and just kind of stuff it down. We can't feel this right now. It's not safe. Let's take the example of somebody being molested as a child. In that situation, this adult is doing this thing to you, and you can't yell, you can't scream, otherwise it's going to get you in more trouble. Maybe they'll get violent towards you. So you feel all this fear and all this confusion and all this stuff, but you can't do anything about it. If you express these feelings, then it's going to create more trouble for you. So your body says, oh, we have to stuff that down. Just stuff that down. It's not safe to express or feel this. Or a war veteran in a combat situation watched his buddy get his legs blown off by a landmine. And in that experience, he has to do shit. He's got to run. He's got to take orders. He's got to get stuff done. He doesn't have time to sit there and process everything that's happening. He just has to go. He has to take action. But later on, the body is still holding that memory. It imprints on the nervous system. So your nervous system, when it gets triggered later on, if that thing has not been resolved, anything that reminds you of it, it might not even logically make sense. It might be a visual stimuli. It might be a sound. I remember one thing that always did it for me, loud sounds. Because when I was growing up, I was always getting screamed at, yelled at, hit every fucking day of my life. I was crying like every day. I was always scared to come home from school. And I remember that being in auditoriums, the school would like have an assembly or something. And in an assembly, all the kids start cheering, woo! Cheering super loud, and all the sounds. I would sit there, I just start getting angry. I'd start feeling fucking angry. Just the sounds, the people screaming just triggered my nervous system. Made me feel like I was under attack. I was being threatened. It pissed me off. I hated fucking assemblies. Hated being in loud crowds and environments like that. And I can look at that, well, why? Might make sense given what I went through every day as a child. And other people, we all go through varying degrees of trauma. Almost everybody does. Some people it's really, really intense. Some people it's mild or moderate, but it's very prolonged. It was just for years and years and years. They had to learn to stuff things down or deal with things. And when these things aren't processed, later on when there's little triggers like sounds or words or somebody acts a certain way towards you, it'll trigger that imprint on your nervous system, and it'll react like the same way it wanted to react back then when those other things were happening that you couldn't process and resolve. So it's almost like a ticking time bomb. You just have stuffed inside of you. So number one, for dealing with these kinds of things, recognition, talking with people, but people that you trust, people that you actually trust. And not everybody has that, but if you have somebody that you really trust, one big component of getting through these things, these traumatic experiences you've gone through, is just verbalizing them and saying them out loud. I have many people that I've worked with, women who are middle-aged, men, young men, all different ages and different genders. And when we speak, we have phone calls and they'll tell me about things they've been through. And I know it's a good thing when they're talking to me and they start crying. I start hearing them sobbing and crying. That means what you're saying to me is you finally processing out loud something that you went through that was very traumatic. And the tears, that's the act of you releasing. You're releasing the beliefs, you're releasing the emotional energy that you've been holding on to. So it's a good thing if you feel emotional when you're talking to somebody about things you've been through that you really don't talk about. And sometimes we need another person to be there. It's not like I did anything. All I did was hold space for them. They trusted me, and I gave them a safe place to express themselves. And sometimes just by hearing yourself finally talk about the thing that you went through, that you've been holding, stuffing down, and never really talked about for so long, that's part of the healing process that allows you to let go of some of it, or if not all of it. Talking out loud about it. And sometimes we just need another person to listen. Not feedback, not to say a bunch of shit, but just to listen, because that gives us a reason to actually talk about this thing. And when we talk out loud, we hear ourselves talk about it, we basically learn from ourselves just by finally expressing it and being able to verbalize it and see it and let it out. That's part of the processing, part of the healing. This can be even smaller things like going through a really intense breakup. I remember when I had a serious relationship years ago. I had to leave the person. It was still painful for me. But I remember I would just talk out loud to myself all the time. That's how I process shit. I talk to myself. Talking out loud allows you to process shit. Even if it's in your own company or it's to other people, verbalizing and expressing these experiences allows you to process them and work through them further and eventually dissipate them. But then other potential solutions too, I'll just tell you right now, for really deeply imprinted things or potentially things that you can't really recognize, I'll say this here, things like psychedelics can be very useful. Psychedelics, if you set the intention before the experience, a psychedelic experience can really uncover a lot of subconscious stuff that your conscious mind just couldn't really access. Stuff that's been stored deep in the subconscious. If you don't really know where this potential trauma is coming from, sometimes psychedelics, only in the right setting, with the right intention, can allow you to process a lot of things. People do this with ayahuasca, with mushrooms, with LSD. Be in a proper setting, have a clear intention for it, and that can really help you uncover a lot of trauma that otherwise you consciously might not have been able to recognize. So, we went over the 3 primary causes for anxiety, the 2 most common ones. I'm going to paraphrase for you again. Number 1 is weakness and underpreparation. So if you know that you're physically and mentally weak, you're underprepared, you're not taking care of yourself, you're not investing in yourself, you can't trust yourself because you never hold your promises, that will manifest as anxiety as a survival mechanism. You have to be on alert all the time because your subconscious mind knows I'm not reliable, I'm not strong, I'm weak, so I got to be on edge all the time. What do they think about me? Oh, is there a threat over there? Oh, you got to be scared of shit, okay? When you're weak and you're underprepared, that's a choice. That one is a choice. The second one is also a choice. An abundance of unused energy. When you're consuming and consuming, but you sit on your ass all day, you don't move enough, all that extra, this is very, very common. Maybe even more common than the other one. All that energy just goes up in your fucking mind and becomes mental nonsense. Action alleviates anxiety. The surest way to get out of your head is to get into your body. Drop out of the head by moving and getting into the body. Exercise, running, martial arts, swimming, dancing, doesn't matter what it is. Body. Get into your body. Use energy physically, not just mentally. If you're only in the mental plane, you're going to be an anxious wreck. And don't overconsume. A lot of people consume way too much. Carbs, sugar, caffeine, like they're a fucking athlete. And then they just sit on their ass all day and wonder why they're anxious. I'd fucking be anxious too. I'd be anxious as hell too. And then finally, the third one, negative beliefs or unresolved trauma that has imprinted on the nervous system. We talked about how to overcome that through talking about your experiences, potentially therapy, and even psychedelic experiences with the right intention and the right setting. So, as I mentioned, I'm not a therapist. I am not a psychiatrist, because if you go to a psychiatrist or an average doctor for your anxiety, they will put you on pills that don't actually treat the root cause, because they're not trained to treat the root cause. An average doctor in America or in the Western world, Western medicine is completely corrupted. What Western medicine is good at is treating emergencies. So you got in a car wreck, you're having a heart attack, something, a blood vessel popped in your body. They're really good at treating emergencies, but just general health shits, they're not trained to treat the root cause. They're trained to treat symptoms with pills, because if they actually treat you, they lose you as a customer. You won't keep coming back and giving them your money. So even the doctors, they're not necessarily bad people, but their whole fucking textbooks are written by big pharma. The medical industry is controlled by the people who sell the drugs and the pills. They tell them, okay, if someone has this going on, give them this pill. If they have this, give them this pill. It's all about just giving you pills. Medication doesn't actually solve shit. Just alleviates the symptoms, and then people think that their anxiety or their depression is supposed to be solved with a fucking pill. It's not. There is no compensation for your lifestyle, for your habits, and any subconscious beliefs or unresolved trauma that you are walking around with. So hopefully through this video, I'm going to upload this on YouTube, you can gain a clearer understanding of where you may potentially have a root cause of where your anxiety is coming from. The first two are things that are really in your control. Today, you can do something about. And the third one will require a bit more introspection and self-reflection and looking at yourself on a deeper level. But either way, treat the root cause. Don't just go to fucking doctors because they're just going to treat your symptoms. They don't give a fuck about your trauma, what you've been through, or how you live, or your fucking lifestyle. They say, oh, you're anxious? Take this every day. Take this every day. Come back so we can up your dose. Oh, it doesn't work anymore. Here's another one. They just keep on getting your money like that, and they never actually treat shit.